channel Ready Study. In this channel, you will get some innovative videos of maths and science based on CBSE curriculum. Please go through these videos, share among your friends, subscribe the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. After autotrophic mode of nutrition, now we will talk about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. The next heading is heterotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. First subheading is parasitic mode of nutrition. Parasitic mode of nutrition. You know what are parasites, children? Parasites actually which depend on others for their food. Some plants do not have chlorophyll in them, so they cannot produce their own food. It means they are unable to do the process of photosynthesis. So how do they survive? Naturally, they depend on others for their food. Such plants are known as parasites, which depend on other plants or animals for their own food, and they just create a harm for them also. They do harm to them also. First they take the nutrition from them and they harm them, then they are known as parasites. One most famous type of parasite is Cuscuta or Amar Bale in Hindi. You must have seen somewhere on the trees a light green colored climber is there, which is known as Amar Bale or Cuscuta. Actually, Cuscuta does not have chlorophyll in it. It takes ready-made food from the plant on which it is climbing. That plant on which it climbs is known as a host. Due to Cuscuta, the host plant deprives of all the valuable nutrients, and so it is known as a parasite. Subheading is insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. Some plants trap in insects and digest them. These plants may be green or may not be. For example, pitcher plant, Venus flytrap and sundew. In the pitcher plant, the pitcher-like structure is modified part of the leaf. The apex of the leaf forms a lid which can open and closes the mouth of the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, there are hairs which are in the downward direction. When an insect sits on the pitcher, its lid closes and the insect trapped in the hair and digested by the digestive juices secreted in the pitcher. And such insect-eating plants are called insectivorous plants. Now, in Venus flytrap, it is also a carnivorous plant, means insectivorous plant. When an insect sits on it, the trap closes. The digestive glands that line the interior edge of the leaf secrete fluids that dissolves the soft part of the prey and kill bacteria and fungi and break down the insects to extract the nutrients. So these are the functions from where insectivorous plants get their nutrients. Children must have a question that if pitcher plant is green in color, they can do the process of photosynthesis, then why does it feed on insects? Actually children, the pitcher plant where it grows, the soil is very much deficient of the nitrogenous product. So it cannot produce proteins because nitrogen is not there in the soil. So it cannot absorb the soil and cannot produce proteins. So the soil is deficient of nutrients. So to fulfill the requirement of proteins, it digests the insects. The third heading is saprotrophs. Have you seen mushrooms in the market? You might have eaten them too. Also, you may have seen them growing on rotting wood during the rainy season. Now, we will come to know that what type of nutrients they need to survive and from where they got them. As they are non-green plants, they do not have chlorophyll and they cannot make their own food. So what do? Actually, these are the fungus. They have a different mode of nutrition. They secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter and convert it into a solution. Then they absorb the nutrients from it. And this mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients in the solution form from dead and decaying matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. Plants which use saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprotrophs. Fungi also grow on pickles, the leather clothes and other things which are left in hot and humid conditions, hot and humid weather conditions for a very long time. Fungi can cause diseases in plants and animals and humans, but not all fungus are harmful. Some are useful too, like yeast and mushrooms. We use them in food industry and some fungi are used in medicinal purposes also. The fourth heading is symbiotic relationship. Actually, some organisms live together and share their shelter and nutrients. This is the mutual understanding between the two organisms, and this type of relation is called symbiotic relationship. For example, certain fungi live in the roots of trees, and the tree provides nutrients to the fungus and in return receives help from it to take up water and nutrients from the soil. This association is very important for the tree. The fungus provides shelter, water and minerals to the alga, and in return the alga provides food which is prepared by photosynthesis. Because it is green in color, it provides food to the fungus. So in this way, both alga and fungus live together and survive. This type of relation is called lichen. This is called lichen, the combination of alga and fungi. So lichen is the best suited example of symbiotic relationship in which both the organisms help each other. Alga provides food to the fungus and fungus provides shelter and nutrients to the alga. Second example of symbiotic relationship is the root nodules of pulses and Rhizobium bacteria. Actually, these Rhizobium bacteria are present in the root nodules of pulses or dals plants. The plant provides shelter to the bacteria. In return, the bacteria fixes the free nitrogen present in the atmosphere to the soil, which helps the plant to make proteins. In this way, both the organisms help each other. So in this way, there are three examples in this heading, symbiotic relationship. First is lichens, the combination of alga and fungi. The second is root nodules of pulses, which provide shelter to the rhizobium bacteria, and rhizobium bacteria which converts atmospheric nitrogen to the soluble form for the plant. And third one is the tree, any tree, and fungi. The last heading is how nutrients are replenished in the soil. Have you seen farmers spreading manures and fertilizers in their fields? Or you may use fertilizers in your lawns. What is the need of adding fertilizers or manure to the soil? Actually, when plants grow in soil, they take up all the nutrients from the soil. So the soil gets deprived of the nutrients and they need to maintain it again and again. What are the nutrients? Nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So these nutrients need to be added from time to time to enrich the soil, and we can grow plants and keep them healthy if we can fulfill the nutrient requirements of the plant. The last topic is the structure of cell. As you have seen, a building is made up of bricks. In the same way, all living organisms are made up of tiny units called cells. A cell is the smallest unit of life. It can be seen only under the microscope. Some organisms are made up of one cell. It means they are unicellular. And some are made up of many cells, or they are known as multicellular organisms. So there are two types, unicellular and multicellular organisms. The example of unicellular is bacteria, or all the any microscopic organisms we can take under unicellular, and in multicellular all plants, animals, human beings, etc. A cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell membrane. The cell membrane protects the organelles which are present inside the cell, and it gives a shape to the cell. These are the functions of cell membrane, that it protects the organelles and it gives a particular shape to the cell. And it has a centrally located spherical structure called the nucleus. Nucleus controls all the functions performed by a cell. All the components or organelles are present in a jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. So these are the major organelles of a cell. Number one, cell membrane, which is the outermost boundary of the cell, which gives shape to the cell and it protects the internal parts known as organelles of the cell. Number two is the nucleus, which controls all the functions performed by a cell. And number three is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like substance in which all the organelles are present and all the functions are performed. And one more thing is mitochondria. Actually, mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell because it provides energy to the cell which is needed to perform all the functions. So, four main contents of the constituents of the cell are: number one, cell membrane; number two, nucleus; number three, cytoplasm; and number four, mitochondria. If you have any doubt or query regarding these topics, you may surely write your questions in the comment box and your queries will be answered definitely.